The results of the 2020 election are in, and the new Congress was certified on January 3rd. The Democratic Party is now leading both houses of Congress, and Joe Biden will be President of the United States January 20th. Tyler Hamman is a senior legislative representative at Basin Electric and breaks down the outlook.
For the first time since 2009, we have Democrats in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. Things are substantially different from that time around, though. Namely, the Senate is split 50-50. The House has a pretty tight margin. Republicans only have a 6-vote deficit, so they only have to turn 6 Democrat votes to pass or defeat any legislation on a simple majority. Just to give you an example, a lot of us remember 2010, the Waxman-Markey cap and trade bill. That passed the House with a 1-vote margin. You actually had 44 Democrats that voted against that legislation. So as far as Congress itself, with a split Senate, they're going to have to come to some kind of a power sharing agreement to figure out committee ratios. This was last time this happened was 2001. They split everything 50-50 committee ratios, shared leadership, and it'll just be up to the presumptive leaders, Democrat leader Chuck Schumer and Republican leader McConnell, to figure out how they're going to work that out. As far as major legislation coming down the pipes, there's not a lot of expectation. Again, there's a 60-vote threshold in the Senate to overcome a filibuster. At this point, it's reasonably expected that rule is going to stay in place. If that's the case, you have to get 10 Republican votes to pass any kind of legislation, which is a pretty tall order. Similar to, as I said, in the House, they only have a 6-vote margin.
Because of the Democratic majority, it will be easier to pass through the party's nominees to serve in the cabinet and head agencies such as FERC and the Environmental Protection Agency, for example.
The big issue will be on nominees. A few years ago, they waived the 60-vote threshold for nominees. So assuming they can keep all the Democrats together, they'll have 51 votes with the vice president to pass any nominees that they want to. For Basin, that could have some implications with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Right now, it's a 3-2 Republican-Democrat split. Commissioner Chatterjee, his term expires this summer. He'll likely be replaced with a Democrat, which will flip the balance of power. So we'll see how that goes. On the legislation front, you do have a bipartisan clean energy standard bill that's been introduced. That could serve as a starting point for some negotiations, but again, any kind of substantive energy legislation, it has a lot of obstacles to passing Congress. So that means a lot of the focus is going to be on the executive branch with the agencies, seeing what the EPA does on regulations that they're going to repeal, namely the Affordable Clean Energy Rule. How will they rewrite that? You also have oil and gas, fracking. There are things they can do through executive action that we'll have to monitor pretty closely.